Welcome to Cooking with Nick, the cooking class that will show you how to prepare a quick and healthy four-course dinner in a short amount of time. There's nothing more important than eating dinner with your family as often as possible. With a little preparation and some quick tips from me, you will always have time to make dinner for your family. So if we're all ready to cook, let's get started on our meal for today. Okay, we're going to get started on the gumbo. That's what we're going to do first. Okay, I'm going to get the pot going here. So we're going to do the gumbo, and that's what you're going to eat first. So you're going to have the soup first. Gumbo is a real hearty soup. You can make it as thick or as thin as you like. I don't like it real thick, so this is going to be more of a soup than a stew. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. And you could put olive oil and a little bit of butter if you want. You could change it up a little bit. What I'm going to do first is to brown the chicken. And what I did, I have some smoked sausage, just Hillshire Farm smoked sausage. That's what I'm going to use for the sausage part of it. And this is already cooked, so we don't have to worry too much about that. What we want to worry about is the chicken. So what I did is, and if you know you're going to make this ahead of time and you get the chicken home from the grocery store, clean it up a little bit, and then just cut it into small little pieces, put it in a baggie like this, stick it in your freezer or leave it in your refrigerator if you're going to use it soon, and then you're all set to go. That way, you don't have to take out the cutting board again, take out a separate knife, wash it again, and the whole thing, because when you're working with chicken, you don't want to do that. So you just put it in a baggie like this, and then when you're ready to go, you just dump it in the pot, and you're all set. So we're going to brown this up a little bit. Well, it would help if I opened the bag, huh? Yeah, there you go. Okay, we got that in. So I didn't have to touch the chicken, so my hands are still clean. And what we want to do is just get a little bit of color on this. Because what's going to happen is it's going to cook again when all the ingredients are in it. And so it'll finish cooking that way. Now let that go. I'm going to put a little bit, again, I have 50% salt, 50% black pepper in here. My philosophy always says add salt and pepper, so why bother having two shakers? Just do it. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper in this. And the reason I'm putting the salt in now is because the salt is going to draw some of the moisture out of the chicken and help it cook a little bit faster. Again, the only time you don't want to do that is with what? We've talked with mushrooms, because if you put salt on the mushrooms, it draws the moisture out. Well, you get you have to draw it out, and then they steam, and they'll never ever brown. So don't put that in there. Okay, got that going. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chop up onion, because we're going to add onion, celery. I should have sharpened my knife before I came.
Have you tried have you ever used the ceramic knife?
No, I haven't.
I have one and I love it.
Is it?
I absolutely love it.
I just like this little knife here. I had this little, it's a Farberware. It's just like the right size. It's not real big and not clumsy. So I want to keep watching this because I don't want this to burn. Okay, you can see what that looks like from up there. So I'm going to cut up some sausage because we want to get that in. But this is cooked already, so all we want to do is just get a little bit of color on it. Again, you could use smoked pork. You can use any kind of sausage that you really want. But I like this because it's all seasoned. And I'm just going to quarter it. Again, make sure when you're working on your counter that you have flat side down so it doesn't slide. And then you have your fingers in there. So just give it a quick chop. And again, then we're just going to throw it in the pot with the chicken. And we're just going to get the little color on this. I step on that and go flying. Notice I didn't throw it in the pot like you would do at home. Okay, I'm going to get that going a little bit and get vegetables cut up. And then I'm going to take that out, let that sit a little bit, and then get the vegetables all browned up. Okay, so I'm going to use a whole onion. And you really don't want little teeny pieces, but you know, you don't want big chunks, but so we get that all cleaned up. The only problem here is the cutting board that I take with me when I move is so small. You know, I have a big one at home, you can just move stuff all around. So stuff's always falling off. Okay, so we get that going. I have some celery here. And we're going to put green pepper in it. Okay, celery, I just wrapped it up. Cleaned it up and wrapped it up. Get this wiped off. And I'm going to add a nice big green pepper. Okay. That should be about ready. By the time I get the vegetables cooked, then I'll take that out and we'll put the vegetables in. Just going to go down, cut it up a little bit, not too small. Okay, so we have that going. Green pepper. Again, if you go around the outside, you'll eliminate most of the seeds. So just go around the outside of it with your knife. Cut off the bottom part, and all the seeds are left in there. Okay, so you have basically this part. Okay, I'm going to cut that up about the same size as the pieces of celery. The seasoning we're going to use Creole seasoning in here, and some hot pepper flakes, but I won't make it too spicy because I don't, you may not like it as spicy as I do, but I'll put the pepper flakes on the side when you eat it, so if you want to add it, then you're all set. I have a great history with red pepper flakes. Most of these people were here when I was making soup, and I usually, when I'm cooking at home, I don't have the cover on it. I usually just pour it. And, I was making the soup, and and then I was trying to fish it out. That was even better. Okay, I'm going to take this out and start getting... The chicken has a little bit of color on it, but not a whole lot. Okay. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil on the bottom. Don't worry about if you have all that crusty stuff on the bottom, because when we add the chicken stock, it'll deglaze it. Okay, so everything into one pot. And we're just going to let that saute a little bit. Okay, give this a stir. Add a little bit of salt and pepper to this because I do want the juices to come out on this, so it cooks faster. Okay, like that. I'm going to add a couple of hot pepper flakes, just to give it a little bit of kick from the beginning. If you were gonna make this soup and use shrimp in it along with the chicken and the fish, what you would do is get all the ingredients in, let it come to a boil, you let it cook for a little bit, and put the shrimp in at the very, very end, because it only takes a couple of seconds for the shrimp to cook. So you want to add that last. And if you wanted to be a little fancy with that, you could, add the shrimp to it, depending on who's coming to your house for dinner. If you don't like them, leave it out. If you like them a lot, then you put the shrimp in. Okay, so we got that in. I'm going to add a can of crushed tomatoes and just a can of diced tomatoes. Okay, that's going to form the basis. Okay. But first what I'm going to do is add some flour to the vegetables. Make sure the vegetables are getting a little bit soft. I'm going to add some flour to that because we're going to make like a roux. Okay, you got to make sure that the flour is cooked in there and you don't see any of the white flour, otherwise it'll taste pasty. Like when you were in kindergarten, you used to eat that paste, that's what it'll taste like. So you want to make sure that that's cooked. But I'm just going to get this stuff ready so we can add it. And I got to get you home in time to watch Grey's Anatomy, Just say you watch it. I mean, my daughter's got to keep employed here,
Oh, I'm sorry. How's she doing?
She likes it. They renewed the show for another season, so yeah, it's good for us. Thank you. Yeah. She likes it.
So you're going out there?
We're going out in April, yeah.
Have you been out there living yet?
Kathy went out when a couple weeks after she moved out. But okay, I'm going to add some this plain flour. Just going to sprinkle it in. It's about 4 or 5 tablespoons. Usually, if you're making a roux, what you want to do is put 1 tablespoon for 1 cup of liquid. Okay, so that's basically how you do that. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I keep stirring this, and don't get nervous because it looks nasty. I mean, it looks like a big glop when it's in there. Okay? But that's what it's going to look like. Just keep stirring it so all of the flour cooks out. You see what it looks like? Don't get nervous when you see that. Okay? Okay, so we got that part. I have chicken stock that I'm going to add. And you will never ever know how thick it's going to be until it comes to a boil. Okay, because then it will start to thicken up. So don't get nervous if it doesn't thicken right away. It will thicken as it boils. Okay, make sure you stir that so that all of that flour gets incorporated. And you'll see it starts to make like a little bit of a gravy in there. Make sure I got everything in here. Okay, we're going to let that come to a boil, and then we'll start adding some of the other ingredients. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to use as another thickening agent, plus as a vegetable in here, I'm going to use some okra. And this is just frozen okra that you can just get in the store. I just took it out, put it in a baggie, and just let it defrost, because it'll cook in there. Okay, so we're going to add that when it starts to boil a little bit. The mustard greens that I'm going to use were also frozen. Okay, they're not. It's hard to find fresh mustard greens. So,
Next month.
Next month. Yeah, and they take forever to cook. So I got frozen ones, and we're going to use those, and those work fine. I like a mixture. I like greens. You should have some kind of dark green vegetable at least once a day, like spinach, mustard greens, collard greens. You know, it's just good for you. If you never had okra, has anybody never had okra? Or had something with okra in it? It's like it's a pod. You know, it has these little seeds in it. It's a long pod about this long. It looks like a long jalapeno pepper. You know, and then when you cut it, it has like a gooey sap in it. And that's what makes it thick. It's that sap that's in there. I don't know if it's sap. I don't know if that's what you call it, but that's what happens. Okay, so this is starting to come to a boil on this. I just want to get this to a boil, get everything in here, and then I'm going to let that simmer, and then we're going to start the mustard greens. Okay, so get that going, and I'm going to add the tomatoes. And the crushed tomatoes. And I'm going to add just a little bit of water, just enough to rinse the can out. And we'll be able to tell how thick it is when it comes to a boil. See, when you retire, you get cheap, so you want to get every piece you can out of there. So, okay, so we got that in. I'm going to put in some Creole seasoning and a couple of bay leaves. Okay, bay leaves. I'm going to put in 2. Now, when we go to eat this, just make sure you remember there's 2 in there because you don't want to eat them. We got to take them out.
There's no fries?
Yeah, yeah. It's like the cake in New Orleans. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get that in. Have some seasoning, and I've never used. This is Tony Chachere's, or I've never used it, so I don't know how spicy it is. So I'm gonna put a little bit in, and then we'll see. I ran out of the stuff I normally use, so it looks good. Okay, we got that going. Okay, I'm gonna put the okra in. I'm just basically going to throw everything in here and then just let it come to a boil again, reboil, and then just let it simmer for a couple of minutes on the stove. That looks pretty thick. I'm going to put the chicken and the sausage back in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that come to a boil. I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it in the back over here so we can use this burner again without blocking the camera. I'm going to pop in a little bit of salt and pepper. Okay. Now what I want to do is give this a little bit of a taste. You never know unless you taste it. You have to taste it. No, just kidding. No. Here, Sally, come up here and give this a little taste. See if it needs anything that you could see. Well, that's not a taste. You just wet the spoon. Good?
No, it's good.
No salt or anything?
No.
Okay. So get that going. So that's basically done. All we got to do is let that come to a simmer, and we're all set to go. I'm going to add just a touch of water in this because this is thick, and it's going to thicken even more as it cooks. Okay, so we get that going. Soup is done. That's it. That soup is done. So you could make that way ahead. This is the kind of soup that you could make and freeze. Okay, it freezes very well. Did I leave something out? Oh, okay. Usually I leave stuff out. That's why
Most
people.
recipes I cook with always have garlic in them. This doesn't have garlic. No, it doesn't have it.
It doesn't have garlic. It doesn't. I know it doesn't have garlic in it. So yeah. You want me to put some in? I can put garlic in. I have it right here. It's going in the mustard. I mean, in the mustard greens. Okay, so with that going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way and let this simmer on the back stove over here. Basically, because it blocks the camera if I put the other pot here. So, and then Chuck yells at me. So, okay, I'm going to put that there. Let that simmer, because that's done. Okay? I'm going to start the mustard greens. And I'll just use the same pot. I mean the same burner. It's already on. Okay? Let me get my stuff for that. Whoops. Have my teaching kit here. Okay. A little bit of sugar, onion, some bacon. And this is the mustard greens I'm using right here. They come in a package like this. And if you go into the local store downtown, they're 2 for $3. So, I mean, it's a good deal. Okay, I'm going to put this pot on here, get that heated up, because what I'm going to do first is put a little bit of, I'm going to use some bacon. If you have smoked pork, or you have leftover pork that you cooked or whatever and you want to use that, that's fine. Otherwise, you can just use some bacon. And I'm going to use 4 or 5 slices, not tons of it. Okay, just want that smoked flavor. If you really don't like a smoky flavor, what you can use is pancetta. Okay, it's Italian bacon, and that doesn't. It's bacon, but it's not smoked. It's yeah. So you could use that if you don't like that smoky taste. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the bottom just so the bacon has somewhere to move around. Okay, and we're going to just take my knife and cut this. An easier way to do it is with a pair of scissors. Just take your scissors and cut it right over the pot. And what we want to do is render it so the fat comes out, and the mustard greens will cook in that fat and have that bacony flavor.
I said, is this a diet dish?
Yeah. You could use no-fat bacon. Use turkey bacon.
No, I heard that's worse for you.
I don't. My attitude is just eat less of whatever you're making, and how much of this are you going to eat? We had 5 slices of bacon in here. We have 8, 10 people. Okay, just break it up a little bit so it cooks faster. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to slice an onion. And we're going to add some onion to this. Ew. This is going to be a little less onion than we... And you want to get some fairly thin slices because it'll cook faster. We'll just give it a quick chop. Okay, throw it right in with the bacon. I'm not going to add salt to this right now because the bacon has a lot of salt in it. So. Okay, we'll let that go a little bit. Get that off. I have 2 bags. One of these says it serves about 5 people, but That's 5 little people, you know. 5 little Chinese people. No, I shouldn't say. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. But. Yeah, I know. I'll be getting emails from ACLU. From Mayor Brown email. And this is not, if you buy this particular brand, I like, PickSweet is the brand, because this is not very watery. They don't pack it with a lot of water in it. So usually when you buy this, like spinach and stuff, you have to put it in a towel and wring it and get like 2 glasses of water out of it. But this stuff is pretty good, so it doesn't have a whole lot of water in it. So you really get a little more for your money. Okay, we got that going. I'm going to let the bacon get a little crispier. And basically what this is going to be, we're going to add some sugar. We're going to add a little bit of vinegar. So it's going to be kind of like a smoky, sweet and sour kind of taste to it. So that's basically what we're doing. Okay. So I have my sugar here. And I had 2 packages, but then I had like a little bit left over in my freezer, so my wife keeps yelling at me, get rid of those teeny little packages. Every Friday we have what's called in my house must-goes, which is like everything must go, So I make like a casserole, and it's got a little of this, a little of that, some cheese, 8 different kinds of cheese that are left over. So, my son is preparing dinner for my wife. He's home on break for a couple of days, so they're watching the basketball, So he's having. I made some Mexican lasagna, so they have some of that's left over, and then I made meat and potato cupcakes, which is I took ground turkey and I sautéed apples, onion, a little bit of celery. Add some seasonings to the ground turkey, and then I pushed them in muffin tins and I baked them. And then I made some mashed sweet potatoes, and then I took those out, and when they cooled, I frosted them with the mashed potatoes so they look like little cupcakes, and then I sprinkled some poppy seeds on top and a little chopped parsley, so it looks like a cupcake. So that's what they're having. So it's a little bit different. I mean, you gotta, when you have a lot of time on your hands,
Not my case.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this because the bacon is a little crispy and has some nice color. So I'm going to add the greens to it. Okay, so we got all of that in there. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to this now, just to season it up a little. So I told you mustard greens are kind of bitter. Okay, so we got that in there. This is some sugar. So I'm going to sprinkle some sugar in it. Just a couple of tablespoons. Okay. And I have to put in my buddy here, just to give it a little kick. And I'm going to you can use either white vinegar or cider vinegar. I like cider vinegar because it's a little sweeter, but you could use whatever kind you want. Check our soup back here. Ooh. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to add the vinegar, and then I'm going to let this cook a little bit, just so they get nice and hot and cooked. Okay, so just kind of, I don't know what it says on the recipe. Remember that these recipes, I field tested them, so they do work, but when I cook, I really don't use a recipe, but I did try everything. It says 3 tablespoons, so there's 1, 2, 3. Okay? Just make sure when you put the vinegar in that you don't lean over the pot. Otherwise, you will have your sinuses in your shoulders. I mean, it was just, so just make sure you don't lean over that. Oops. Just like I'll try not to lean over the pot when I do the bananas and light them on fire, Oh, wow, look. You have no eyebrows left.
Why do you think we're all in the back row?
Yeah, I know. I was wondering about that. They've been here before. Nobody sits in the front row. You get splashed with soup. Okay, so I'm going to let that go. And what I'm going to do is before you have soup, which is just about ready, the muffaletta sandwich is basically a cold cut sandwich that you make. And I'm going to use the ciabatta bread to make the sandwich because it's nice and has lots of holes in it. The thing that's special about the muffaletta is the sauce you put on it. And what we're going to do, it's basically an olive salad. It's an olive and pepper salad. So you could make your own olive salad if you want and, chop up all the peppers and marinate it and do all that. Or you can do it the way I'm going to show you, which takes about 2 minutes. Okay? So we got that going. So I'm going to make the sauce first. Then you guys are going to eat soup. Okay, and then we'll come back and finish the sandwich. Then you'll have the sandwich and the mustard greens. Then we'll clean up from that, and then we'll get on to dessert. Okay? So once you look at the time, it's only 10 after 7, and we have almost a whole complete meal done already. So just so you know, you can make a complete meal for your family in under 40 minutes, which is the whole purpose of what we're doing here. Okay? So I'm going to move over to this little processor. And I'm going to use the salad olives, okay? They just come in a little jar. They're already sliced, have the pimento in it. Or you can use, if you have the olives that are stuffed and you want to use those, just go ahead and use those. First, I have to get it open. So I'm going to just drain a little bit of the juice off and just pop some in here. Okay. This is a small jar, 5 and 6 ounces. And then I don't think this is on there, but I'm going to add some Kalamata olives. These are black Kalamata olives. Has anyone not had Kalamata olives? Have you had these? You're looking at me like you don't even know what I'm talking about. You have to try them.
You gotta try. They're the best olive.
Yes. So I'm going to put some in there. They're Greek olives that are pitted and marinated, and they're black. So I'm going to.
I don't have much of a taste in when it comes to exotic.
You work in a doctor's office. You should try this stuff.
Tell your patients what it
Okay,
does
that's
for you.
right. If you come in there and choke, I have a Kalamata olive stuck in my throat, then you know what to do. So you can try those, pass those around. Everybody can try the Kalamata olive. Yeah. Make sure she swallows that. Make sure she swallows that. Okay. It's just got little herbs on it. It's just marinated. Okay, I have some celery here that I'm going to add to the processor. Again, I just, wrapped it up in, it's kind of like the heart, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all of this. I'm going to use the leaves and everything, okay, because the leaves have really nice flavor. Okay, so I'm going to put this, everything goes in the processor. Yeah.
It's in her pocket.
There's a Kalamata alarm at the door, so you at that door, the alarm goes off if you didn't eat it. No, you don't have to like it. All I ask you to do is just try. You came here and you said, boy, I've tried a lot of new stuff since I've been taking these classes, and that's basically what I want you to do. Just try new things. If you don't like the olives in there, then try something else. You don't like the black olives. Okay, so I got that. I'm going to add a couple of shots of hot sauce, And again, you could adjust it to, however you like it. Okay, and then Instead of using pepperoncini peppers, the little ones you find on a salad bar or whatever, they throw them to decorate the tray. Nobody eats them. So I'm going to use, this is sweet and hot peppers that are already sliced. So we're going to add them to the processor. And I'm not going to use all of these. If you don't like to use the hot peppers, just use the sweet peppers. But we want to give it a little bit of a kick, because basically it's, a cold cut sandwich, and you want to add special flavorings to it. Okay, that looks good. I'll add not tons of it, so Okay, so we're going to just process this. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil, just to drizzle in there. And the olives aren't marinated, but they're in a brine. So I'm not going to add salt and pepper to this because it's already probably has enough in it. Okay, so you basically have the dressing, or what's going to go on our sandwich. Okay, so let's have. Somebody want to taste it, Jen? You want to give it a taste? I call on you, but you're such a baby. Good? A little hot sauce, a little salt, pepper, or... Yeah, we know. Needs a little more hot sauce. But it's not real hot because the peppers are a mixture, okay? So you don't get that burning pepper. That's it. That part's done. Okay. I'm going to turn our soup off. The what? Yeah, I take care of that. Don't worry. That's not included in your fee. Okay, this is hot, Jeanette. This is hot. Don't stick your hand in here and try to get all the chicken out. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here, and this is the part where you have to get up and serve yourself because that's it. No soup for you.
Someone needs to serve me.
Oh wow! Not going to happen. Okay, there you go. I'll put the red pepper flakes over there if you want to add a little bit of that, and I'll put some of the Creole seasoning there over there if you want to add a little to your soup. This soup is hot. So there you go. Bowls are over there. Spoons are over there. I'll start getting ready to put our sandwich together, so enjoy your soup. Okay, the soup, there's plenty of soup that's left there. I think there's like half a pot left. That's all got to go, so get ready to take some home. We're going to start putting together the sandwich. Our greens are done, okay, so I turned those off, and we'll get those. What we're going to do is put together our sandwich, our muffaletta, and then you guys are going to have this with some greens, then take a deep breath, and then we'll do the bananas Foster, okay? So what I have 2 loaves of ciabatta bread, and this you can get in any bakery, or you can use hard Italian bread, or if you want to be really fancy, get one of those round loaves of bread, and you can use that, and then just cut it into wedges. Okay, you could do that. Or if there's just like 4 of you and you want to make this, you can do it. Just get some hard rolls, and open the roll and just use that. Okay, if you want to serve this as an hors d'oeuvre, take like those hard rolls, cut them in quarters or 6 pieces, and put a toothpick in it, and you have a nice little hors d'oeuvre to serve, which is fairly inexpensive to do. But I like the ciabatta bread because it has all kinds of holes in it. Now remember, we're going to put this sauce this olive salad that we made on here, and it's going to get in all those little nooks and crannies over here, and absorb a lot of that flavor. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start spreading some of this on here, And I'm going to put some on the top and the bottom. It smells delicious. Okay, remember it's got the olives, it's got the Kalamata olives, it's got the hot and sweet pepper, it's got some celery in there. Basically everything that would go into a regular olive salad. But we speeded up the processes and just stuck it in the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, just chop it all together or put it in a blender, whichever way you want to do that. Okay, so we have all that on there. Just going to spread that out. When you spread it out, you can start to see all the oils and stuff going into the little holes on the bread. I like it on the top and the bottom. Let me make this. Okay, so we're going to take our cold cuts. And I have some provolone cheese. And we're just going to start layering it. And don't be stingy with your cold cuts. I mean, you're not working in a deli shop. You're paying for every slice. Just put it on there. The mortadella this is $5.49 a pound, so which is not bad. So, and I got a half a pound because the slices are big. Okay, so I got that on there. I have some capicola, which is hot Italian ham. So that's got a little spice to it. And you can get the capicola hot or mild, so you can get it either way you like it. But who's never had this? Have you had it? Are you lying to me? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to put some of that on there. Yeah, this is good. Very little fat on this one. This is good. And you can see it's got the little red pepper flakes in it. Yes, yeah. I usually buy all my cold cuts at Brigiotta's. What I like about why I like to go there and get the cold cuts is because they slice it when you order it. I don't like when you go to certain stores and they have those big trays of it's all cut. Because I don't know if they had their hairnet on when they were cutting it. So so it makes me nervous. Okay, so we got a nice layer of the capicola. Okay. Get back in here. And for 2 sandwiches now, all I had this was just a half a pound. Okay, and this was $3 for half a pound. So remember, we have 2 sandwiches here. So and then I have some hard salami. And you can use whatever kind of salami you want. I like the hard salami opposed to the softer stuff. And again, this was a half a pound, $2.60. So, I mean, and salami, you get a lot of salami when you get a half a pound because they cut it fairly thin. Okay, so put that on. This is a nice hearty sandwich that why did I put it on that side? I put the cheese over here. I started it over here. Well, we're going to put it together anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm looking at it going, did I look at that right?
It looks good on TV.
Hey, it's a bitch getting old, I'm telling you. Another edit, another bleep. Okay, so I got the salami on there. Now we're going to put the mortadella on. And if you can't find mortadella, you could use bologna. I mean, really, if you really couldn't find it, but it's got a nice little taste to it. You see what it looks like? It looks like it's got like pistachios and different kinds of seasonings in it. Usually, if you get to the middle of it, it's like this big. They had to open this package for me, so it's a little smaller on the end. So we're going to get all this on. You see the peppercorns in there? You see? Where's Casey? She's the one who's missing tonight. Oh, okay, that's it. Oh, because she's always packing stuff up for Rob. That's why I was wondering where she... Okay, so we got all that on there. Now we're going to put the sandwiches together. Make some room here. So basically what you're going to do is just flip it over. Give it a little press. This was the one I made a mistake on, so you... Here you go. I'll turn it over. Here we go. Okay, just give it a little press so you get that flavor in there. And we're just going to slice it up. And I'm going to get a serrated knife because it's easier to cut. Okay, so how many? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay. And you know, depending on how big slices you want to make, I'll cut these. Let's see. Not too bad. Okay, I'm going to get a dish and put those on. So you have nice big hearty sandwiches here. Okay, let me get this one cut. These are going to be bigger because I just, you know, we need 9 pieces and I didn't feel like figuring out 5. So there you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll move some stuff over here. I'll move the plates over here so you can grab a sandwich, get yourself some greens. That a little stir. Okay, I'll get the plates over here. Be easier to do it this way, okay? So here's plates, forks, napkins, and sandwiches. Now you have to get up, okay? So while you're eating, I'm going to get cleaned up a little bit and get stuff ready for our Bananas Foster. What we're going to do for dessert, we're going to do Bananas Foster. And what I did while you guys were eating your sandwiches and your collard greens is I took little dessert shells and put them in the bottom of each cup. Because the Bananas Foster actually takes about 2 minutes to make. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put some scoops of ice cream on top of this. And then we're going to take our bananas and saute them in brown sugar and butter and put some rum in it and then ignite it so the alcohol burns off and just leaves the rum flavor and a little bit of cinnamon. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going to get the pan hot. And I'm going to pop in 2 sticks of butter. I always feel like Paula Deen when I'm making this. Yeah, yeah, but butter is better. But we're going to serve, 10, 11, 10 people with this stuff. So, and you do not use margarine. You have to use butter. You can't use that stuff, okay? So I'm going to, while that's going, I'm going to cut up some bananas. And again, when you cut the bananas, cut the top and bottom off. Just go down like that. And then you can just peel it right out of the collar, okay? What you want to do for these is you don't want to get bananas that are really, really soft. You want bananas that are kind of a little hard because you want them to hold up when you cook. Okay, and the number of bananas you use depends on how big they are and how many people you're going to serve. Whoops. Down. That was the end. Did you see me throw it in there? Well, you know what? Just going to use all of them, so I don't. That would be like a half a banana per person. So, and so you're probably still hungry since you really haven't had a lot to eat tonight. So, you know.
That's why I'm standing.
Standing.
Shaking it down right now.
Shake it down. Okay, our butter is melting here. And what you don't want to do is leave the bananas in the butter for a long time, because then they'll really get soft. Okay, so we're just gonna cut them. Some people cut them in big chunks. I like little slices because then you get a lot more. So some places where you go and order bananas Foster, they'll take the bananas and just slit them down the middle and then serve you almost like the whole banana. This is one of those desserts. I know we went out one time and we ordered this, and the price was, it was one of those places where it didn't have the price on there, and it's like when you get your bill from the doctor and you say you took blood, Okay. And it was mine. It wasn't even yours. Okay, so I'm going to put brown sugar in. This is going to use about a cup. I need the container. Huh?
Is that dark brown?
This is dark brown sugar, but you could use light. You can use whatever you have in your cupboard. Okay, you want to get that stirred around in there. Wow, that brown sugar is lumpy. If the brown sugar gets hard, stick it in your microwave for a couple of seconds and it'll soften it right up. Or put it in a container and put a piece of bread in there. That'll absorb the moisture and it usually won't clump. Or if you put it in, just take a fork and start mashing it. Okay, so basically, we have that going. I'm going to add some cinnamon. Ooh, that doesn't have the. Did you see that? This is one of those. This is one of those new ones that you flip open. I got to watch that. Okay, so we got cinnamon in there. Okay, so basically that's what the flavoring is. So we're going to put the bananas in. That's why nobody sits in the front row.
Or wears white.
Oh, the whipped cream. That's the other one. I do have some whipped cream in there if you want to get sprayed. Okay, so you want to spread the bananas out so they get all that flavoring in there. Okay, so we got that going. As soon as that comes up to a little bit of a boil, then we'll add the rum. Now, you need to be really careful if you have a gas stove and you're using the rum. Just, take it off the heat. I'll just pretend that this is a gas stove. Now, take it off the heat and add that. Otherwise, you may have no hair. And then if you have a gas stove and you want to light it, just tilt it a little bit and the fumes will go over it and it'll light it. But, or you can use, what I'm going to use, one of these. Okay, just so I'm far enough away. Okay, so we're going to be ready with that. Let's come into a little boil here. Get some stuff out of the way. Make sure you clean up as you go. so you don't have a big mess at the end. Oh, it smells so good. This is one of the desserts my kids always ask for when they're home. And it's so simple, and it takes really no time to make. Okay? While that's going, what I'm going to do is, before I add the rum, scoop out ice cream into each of the plates, and then we're all set to go. You could go to this point, fill these with ice cream, and if you have room in your freezer, stick them back in your freezer. You know, or you can do that trick I showed you with making ice cream balls. Put them on wax paper, stick them in your freezer, and they're all set to go, so you just plop them on there, okay? And give a nice plop of ice cream on there. You don't want to... Oh, get in there.
Yours. Yeah, that one's yours.
All right. Okay. I'll take it.
You didn't just eat what we did.
These little dessert cups are nice because the ice cream sits right in there. We'll give that big one to Chuck since he's been so patient filming this. Okay, you can see that starts to thicken up a little bit. Okay, so we're all set with that. Did I get them all? Yeah, okay. Usually I forget one. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat off. And I'm going to add the rum. How much rum does it say? What does it say?
All that, a bottle and a
Yeah.
or a quarter cup.
Okay, that's close.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to light this.
Fire. Oh, that's true.
Woo!
Pretty much, yeah.
Then if you want to get fancy, go like this.
Fireworks.
See? Makes little fireworks. Little sparkles. That's just cinnamon. And then you can tell when all the alcohol is burned off because you don't have no more fireworks, okay? But that's kind of nice if you're doing a party, you put the lights out and dig it out, you know. A lot of the times when they do this in the restaurant, they bring it to your table and do it. Okay, now I have 2 more containers for soup. Oh, God, Janice, how much alcohol did you put in there? I think you burned in for 20 minutes. It's getting there. Yeah, nice and caramelized. Looks good. Just about done. You want to make sure that the flame is out before you start serving it. You know. Otherwise, you're going to have, you know, like get your hair caught when you were mashing potatoes. This would be worse. That's gonna. Can I use that story when I teach? Because I think that's so funny. Okay.
I still don't know how to You must have heard. It did, because it was beating into my head. Oh, you had to beat it, you didn't shut it off. No, because I was like shocked.
Oh. Okay. Okay, so this is all done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start pouring this on. If you want, I'll leave this here. If you want whipped cream on yours, I never have luck with this stuff because it always backfires and you split. It goes all over. So if you want cream, I'll leave it there and you could add it. Okay? Let me get the spoons. Spoons. Okay, so you just take this and just squash that on there. You want to make sure you get the sauce on the bottom because that's going to soak into that cake. And again, if you make this and you have the sauce left over, just save it. And then when you want to make it, just heat it up and throw in some bananas. Well, that was our cooking plan for today. I hope those of you in class enjoy eating the meal prepared, learned a few new cooking shortcuts, and will try these recipes at home. To those of you watching at home, I'd like to thank you for being with us and encourage you to join us in class. And remember, from my family to yours, always make time for family and friends by sharing a great meal around your kitchen table.